That's a great delivery. It's spun, perhaps the first ball that spun this morning for Panesar. And Tendulkar is walking back, bowled once again.
167 test wickets, including that of Sachin, Rahul Dravid, Ricky Ponting, Inzamam ul Haq. Arguably the ball of the century against the god himself to clean bowl him. Wisden Cricketer of the Year 2007. Let me introduce to you the man who seemed to revive English spin when he burst onto the scene in 2006. His ability to extract sharp turn and bounce at 60 miles per hour made the best of batsmen look puzzled. The man whose wholehearted style of celebration, regardless of the opponent, has won many a hearts. Please welcome the Paji himself, Monty Panesar. And how are you, Paji?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Thank you, Paji, for coming on the Fifth Official's podcast series. This is one of the hopefully many series that we are going to do. I'll briefly tell you about what Fifth Official is. So, with a population of around 1.3 billion people, I believe that there's a lot of raw talent over here in India. However, the talent has not been realized due to multiple issues. One is infrastructural, and the second is there is as such no platform on which the players can ideally perform. And obviously, then the nepotism part creeps in, and then the financial issues as well. So, just wanted to understand from your end also, Paji, that what had actually inspired you to get into a sporting domain, especially cricket?
Yeah, I think in Luton I had a cricket club called Luton Town and Indians, and that was very much my focus because, I think you talked about, sports and other sports, coming into fruition in India, and I think it can only be achieved if there's infrastructure in place and also like the landscape of sporting around the country, that there's playing fields in each state. There's like adequate coaching, and it all has to come from the funding from the government,
right?
How they fund each state and what budgets they put in place for infrastructure, for coaching programs, and also that's the only way I think India can evolve as a country.
So Paji, what do you think? What would be the difference between India and England in terms of how has England fared in Olympics and then India? So England had around 27 gold medals in Olympics 2016 in Rio.
But I think that's a fair reflection to say that every country's position and value of every country is during the Olympics, when a country will see that how many gold medals or silver medals they have.
Right.
And I think it's a great vision for India that we want to be taken seriously as a country, as an economy, and one of the areas where people think that India is progressing is when they get more gold medals, silver medals at the Olympics. But to do that, the government needs to have a budget in place where they allocate the money to the states, and then that money is used to build sports stadiums, to build coaching facilities, to actually hire great coaches as well. That's the only way they're going to do it, by having a good sports landscape. It cannot be, we all know that some states may get it, some may not get it. The system isn't great, and suddenly when the Olympics happen, everyone's questioning, why didn't India get enough gold medals or silver medals? And it was because of the infrastructure. It was the money that they had, budget for each state. How much was that used towards building this? And unfortunately, we know sometimes the money that is allocated doesn't always get spent in the areas that they do want to get. So, then the consequence of it is you have less gold or silver medals. I've studied the sports landscape in this country, and in the 60s and the 70s, what they did is they allocated sporting land, and the government gave budgets each county to develop their own sporting facilities, and I think that's the way it should be done. I studied this during my postgraduate at international sports management, and India needs to do something similar as well, because India does have talent, but the talent can only be seen if there are coaching systems in place in states. There's genuine funding for coaches to get coaching level badges for the particular sport. That certain areas may be better than others.
Right.
And that's how they should do it. They really need to, if they're serious about this, if they really feel that we really want India to get gold medals and silver medals, then a lot of money will have to get spent towards developing these elite athletes.
Absolutely. Talking of elite athletes, Paji, who has been your idol when you were a kid, when you were aspiring to become a cricketer?
Yeah, I think for me, the obvious answers we all know. We don't need to talk about the obvious people, but sometimes the ones who we don't talk about as much, like Bishan Singh Bedi being a left-arm spinner, like me, being Sikh, went to Northampton, was one of the great spinners of Indian cricket, and he was my inspiration when I was growing up. But I also, for me, other sports play a role as well. And you look at different sports. Football is a big thing for me.
Right.
Also rugby. But I do believe that when it comes to cricket, when I was younger, I was a left-arm seamer. I was fast bowler. Wasim Akram was another guy I looked up to.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I've heard that story of you wanting to become a medium fast bowler, and then you had transitioned into a left-arm spinner. Right. So
that was Paul Taylor. He said that to me. Paul Taylor. He goes, whenever I see him, he's my Messiah or my God.
Okay.
People say, because he gave me the advice. If he never gave me left-arm spin advice, I would have not become a left-arm.
Even Paji, we are thankful to Paul Taylor, because had he not given you the advice, we would not have seen then off-stump cartwheeling for Sachin Tendulkar. The ball pitching on left stump and then the off-stump going on.
Yeah, well, it's a beautiful ball. It was a beautiful ball, but it's something that I believe I don't want to mention too much, because it's the end of the day, we have to respect Sachin Tendulkar as well.
Sachin Tendulkar is a god. He's an absolute god for all of us, regardless of which country one is in. He's a cricket god. That is what people say in India. When God wanted to play cricket, Sachin was born. Right. So.
Yeah. But then what about Don Bradman?
Right.
What do they say about him?
There are different times, and then there come different players. I cannot compare a Virat Kohli with Sachin Tendulkar or a Sachin Tendulkar to Sir Don Bradman. And when Don Bradman himself said that when I watch Sachin play cricket, I feel that I am playing cricket. That is something that is absolutely beyond words from the legend himself, for someone who was a young kid that point of time, even in his teenage.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, Baji, a lot of our patrons are actually young kids in their teenage. So, for their benefit, I would just request you to explain as to how did you split your time from education and cricket when you were a kid?
Well, I think education is something that you try and do if you have the opportunity to do it. Not everyone has the opportunity to go to schools, and I did. And it's also to do with the family background. A lot of parents in the 70s, in the 80s, just want children to work hard, because life was, you have to work very hard here, and it wasn't as easy. But there could be certain families who are very wealthy families, and they have the opportunity for their children not to study, and they can fully focus on their child to get better at cricket. But I do believe that being educated will help in the long run.
Thank you, Baji, for that answer of yours. Baji, apart from sports and education, during your time when you were playing cricket, when you were also studying, what sort of recreational activities did you prefer?
Well, I really enjoyed playing football. I also played chess when I was younger, and we worked very hard on our studies. We did a lot of mathematics, science subjects, because when you're young, you either you're English or science-based, so one or the other. But I was very much science.
Okay. Paji, have you ever had interest in Bollywood music, Bollywood movies?
Yeah, I think my first movie I really enjoyed was like Sergeant by Salman Khan, and that was a really good movie. I really even listen to the songs now.
One of those songs, if you would want to just sing.
Yeah,
on
okay.
Sure.
Yeah. देखा है पहली बार साजन की आंखों में प्यार, देखा है पहली बार साजन की आंखों में प्यार. Is that okay?
Absolutely. All right. So also, Paji, I've also heard a few things from players as well, that they have been in sort of situations where it has been a lot difficult for them to come up. So how do you motivate yourself when you feel like quitting it?
Yeah, it's like my parents. They work really hard, so I've been sort of brought up to work hard, I suppose. I guess it's to do with your parents, your people who you surround yourself with. Now, if their attitude to work isn't work hard,
okay,
then you're going to have the same attitude. So I was very lucky that I had parents who worked very hard, and they said that's the only option. You work hard. That's the way you become successful in life.
Absolutely, there's no alternative to working hard. And during this lockdown situation, how in general has sports been affected in England?
I think we've done really well. The Premier League has started now. It's still behind closed doors. They did an experiment during the trial period, and I think at some point they'll get the fans to come into the stadiums, which will be a really good thing. But also, I believe that there's other sort of sports that are being played right now as well. Cricket, which is going very well, and I think people are going to look forward to the IPL now. 3 p.m. UK time, everyone makes time for the IPL, and they look forward to it when it starts on Saturday.
Oh, is it? Paji, which is your favorite IPL team that we have talked of IPL now?
I think Rajasthan Royals for me. Joss Butler and Ben Stokes are in that team, so I'll support them.
Okay, fine. Paji, one of your highlights of your cricketing career must be the India-England 2012 series, wherein you played a pivotal role. You took a lot of wickets. In fact, the first match that you played of the series, you had 11 wickets by your name. Right. So how did you prepare for that particular series, especially because it was in India and you knew that the pitch would be turning, and you had adversaries in the opponent like Ravichandran Ashwin and Pragyan Ojha along with Jadeja. So how did you try?
I think the cricket balls we had were much harder. SG balls were different then. The seam was much more pronounced. Right. Yeah. And the wickets, they were a lot more, had more pace on the wickets. They weren't as slow.
Okay.
So that suited my style of bowling. Any pace on it and the ball being a bit more pronounced.
Absolutely. So you also loved bowling with the new ball, right?
Yes. A spinner, if it's turning, then should bowl with the new ball.
Absolutely. It's a hard ball, and if there's any sort of a turn or bounce, there are chances that the batsman might get out. True.
Yes, absolutely.
Recently, in one of your interviews, Paji, we've heard that Mahi, that is Mahendra Singh Dhoni, could not comprehend that you had the knowledge of Hindi as well as Punjabi, and you sort of kept mum while Mahi was talking from behind the stumps. Could you tell us about a couple of plans that you passed on to the England team?
Well, he said to, I think I remember saying to Zahir Khan, "Isko bouncer dalo pehli ball." So I just went in the back foot and I ducked when it pitched. And he go, "Haan, isko malum nahi hai kya bowling aa rahi hai. So abhi full dalna." So then he bowled it full and I hit it for 4.
Oh,
and then no, I didn't actually hit it for 4. I just tapped it.
Okay.
And then Zahir Khan was like, "Okay, round the wicket aana, but aise dikhana jaise isko bouncer dena hai, but full ball dena."
Oh.
So I was like, "Oh, okay." So I didn't say anything. I made my batting stance like I'm scared, but I knew it was going to be a full ball, so I just played it full.
Great. This is something that you were obviously aware of the plan for you, right? Secondly, in 2009 Ashes series against Australia, there was this first or the second match of the series, if I remember it correctly. You and Jimmy Anderson were the last pair batting for a draw. There were some 11.5-12 overs that were pending, and that point of time it was assumed that either you or Jimmy might get out, right? But both of you sort of found the mental strength to draw the match. So what was the plan basically for you and Jimmy during those last 10-12 overs?
Yeah, we just thought we just watch the ball, and if it's outside off stump, then leave it. If it's at the stumps, then just play straight.
Okay, fine. So what was the scenario in the team camp after that particular draw? Because it must have felt like a win, right? Especially because in the first innings, England had scored some 400 runs. Australia scored a massive 600 plus 4. And then against the run-out play, England started faltering, and then is when someone like Monty and Jimmy, who are lesser known with their bats in hand, right, were able to save the match for England.
Yeah, it felt like a win for us, but obviously we knew, we drew and Australia outplayed us. But Andrew Strauss and everyone else was like completely shocked, thinking, "Wow, what happened there?" But that's miracles, That's why we should have 5-day test cricket, because miracles can happen.
Absolutely. Paji, one final thing, we'll close it with a rapid fire session, some 10-12 questions. Okay, so we'll begin, Paji.
Yeah.
Choose one of the following: IPL, BBL, CPL, T20 Blast.
T20 Blast.
Most beautiful cricket stadium that you've ever played in?
Lords.
Favorite bowling partner?
Graham Swan.
Favorite English batsman?
Kevin Peterson.
Best captain you've played for?
Michael Vaughan.
Favorite Indian cricketer?
Sachin Tendulkar.
The batsman you fear the most while bowling?
Virender Sehwag.
Okay. The commentator you would want to hear on a repeat mode?
Nasser Hussain.
English football club that you follow?
Arsenal and Luton Town.
Fine. And one final thing, Paji, you might take your time over here. What would you have done if you were not a cricketer?
A Bollywood actor.
This was unexpected. I had a lot of fun talking to you, Paji. Thank you, Paji, for coming on the Fifth Official podcast series.
Thank you so much. And if you need another interview, do get in touch.
Absolutely, Paji. That means a lot for us. Thank you very much.
All out. Inzamam's out now too. Monty Panesar deserves that wicket. He's persevered, but quite magnificently throughout the afternoon, the morning, the innings. And almost humiliating for the captain of Pakistan. Yeah, you deserve it. You really deserve it. You are the real deal, Monty.